This program comes to you compliments of the Tobago Inspirational Network. To support this and other programs, we encourage you to give to TIN. Contributions can be made at any First Citizens Bank at account number 203-4679. We thank you for your support.
Viewers, and thank you for tuning in to today's program of On Call. I'm of course your host, Thalissa McClure, and in studio with me is none other than our resident On Call doctor, Dr. Maxwell Adeyemi. Dr. Max, welcome to today's program.
Welcome and good evening to everyone.
All right, how has it been?
Well, I'm cool. And you?
I'm good. I'm good. Getting ready for the holidays.
Okay, well, you're very lucky. You're a teacher, so you get holiday all the time, you know. So.
No. Don't let's go into that because that will be an entirely different discussion. But yes, and I'm looking forward to the holidays. Get the children all active. They're excited about presents and Christmas. I think the holidays to them is more about presents,
and toys and stuff like that. So
presents and decorations.
Well, mines are not much into decoration, but toys. Yes. I have to take trips to the mall practically every weekend, and they've been identifying what and what needs to be bought, and it's a handful, and very expensive too.
Yes, it's a pretty expensive season.
Yeah.
But before we get sidetracked from today, I mean, all in keeping with the season today, we want to talk about obesity, but not just obesity, as we've spoken about it in the past, but this is more of, as you call it, parental oblivion to obesity. Yeah. This is a time when we all, most of us, tend to overeat. It's said to be the season. Of course, you have the ham and the turkey and the you name it. It's available at this time of the year, and so we all tend to have a lovely time just eating. And when we look at the children, as we started off speaking with the children, I mean, we also have to pay attention to children and their weight as well, because they could have so many issues leading up. But Dr. Max, let's get a general heading before we narrate. When we talk of obesity, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, basically, we're talking about an individual who weighs more than the expected, or what we call the required weight, for their height at that particular age group or at a particular height. All right. When the calculation is done, usually we use the square of their height and the weights to calculate what they call the BMI. All right. Once that is beyond what is acceptable for that particular age group in children, or a particular height, especially in adults. All right. So we calculate the weight, we calculate the height, and then it's a simple formula that you use, and then you get the BMI.
The BMI is the body mass index.
Body mass index.
All right. So once based on your height, your weight exceeds what should be based on the calculation for your age, then you're considered obese.
Right. It's usually classified as something that is on a scale, a table, and usually the normal should be around 18 to 25. If you are below 18, then you may be classified as being underweight. Between 18 and 24, 25, there is the normal. Anything outside of 25 to about, say, 28, you are classified as overweight. In excess of 29, 30 and above, then you are obese. And sometimes you find people who are 40-something, 30-something, and they're just ridiculously obese,
So there is the overweight category,
Right.
and then there's the obese category.
Obese category.
But what we're going to focus on today is the
Is the
obese
obese,
category.
right.
All right. So when we talk about children and obesity,
Right.
all right, what exactly are we looking at in terms of how does this affect? How does this affect them? I think I kind of jumping ahead, but
Right, in any individual, children or adult, whenever you have obesity, obviously there are attendant medical problems that are, associated with, this medical situation, okay? So you could have predisposition to diabetes, to heart problems, to hypertension, and in some cases, cancers as well as they grow older, so there is a health issue. There is a psychological issue because some of them may have issues with their peers if they're obese and overweight. Okay, so there are, issues that are associated with being obese that need to be dealt with.
Doc, you said something in your article, and I want you to maybe expand on it a little bit. You see, as parents, many parents tend to overlook obesity in children because they have many different things they would say, like it's in our family, or they chubby, and maybe it's a cultural stereotype,
Right.
for want of a better word, but there is also, tell me, fact or myth, saying that as children age, they naturally slim down, or they would shed their weight, and so many times I think parents tend not to take or pay too much attention to it because there is always the belief, I want to say belief, that as the children maybe approaches puberty and adolescence and so on, that the weight will naturally come off. So
Yeah, basically what I was alluding to is that parent tends to be oblivious, I should say, to the weight of their kids. All right, and it's a simple coined word from the word oblivion and obesity, which we call obliviobesity. All right, it's not really a medical diagnosis, but it's just the pattern of mindset that tends to make people, become insensitive and, to the fact that they have an obese personality around them. And usually, like you said, when children are obese like that, it's partly due to a cultural stereotype in which people believe once their son or daughter is a little too slim or too, in quotes, using local word maga, is a sign that they're suffering or somebody is bad-treating them or they're under some stress or whatever, okay? And they tend to say, look, I prefer my child to be chubby, a little fleshy, so that people think, okay, like a sign of affluence, life is good. It's like some older folks used to say in the 80s and 90s that when you are obese and you have this trunca obesity, big belly, is a sign of good life. Really, it's really a sign of sickness, You really don't have to be so grossly obese with pot belly before people know that you're living good. You understand? It's a kind of stereotype. So, people tend to have that, and they give excuses for the fact that the child is obese, just to excuse their mindset. Okay, maybe, we're from a very fat family, or everybody in my family is fat, or they have a huge bone, or those kind of things I've heard, from, clients or patients who try to excuse the fact that there's an obese child in here. Now, when they're obese, the tendency is that maybe as they grow older and they get taller and whatever, the fat and the thing will shrink a little bit. Usually that is if the child is active, because as they get a little older, they become very active and they're running up and down. When you go to some of these primary schools, during their lunchtime, they just non-stop running and sweating, So at that stage, they obviously will lose some of the weight, and then their diet, depending on what is given to them at that point in time too, may also, guide the way that the weight is structured. However, when you have an obese child who possibly continues to eat uncontrollably or without proper planning from the parent, and they are not active, obese child will gradually become an obese adolescent, and an obese adolescent will become an obese adult.
But Doc, two things I want to look at. One, you said something. I mean, I know I raised it, but you said many times people believe that, you know, being obese, overweight into obese is a sign of affluence. But I smiled, Doc, because just a few hours ago, I don't even think it was 2 hours, I saw someone that I knew as a teenager who had a little bit of size, maybe was overweight, but now I saw the individual and they've moved from being overweight to obese. But then I looked at the parent and I'm seeing the parent do it. But apart from, you know what ran through my mind? I said one time, I was like, these people really are enjoying life, because the truth is, they actually are an affluent family.
Okay.
So I automatically attributed to the fact that life was very good, and therefore.
Right, I mean, there's that factor that some people who possibly are affluent tends to inculcate a culture of, you know, overeating or eating a lot of different assorted stuff that may tend to make them fat. Okay, so that is there. Like as I also said, there's also the mindset that, okay, once I am this plump and fat is good life. Nothing could be far from the truth, because most of the rich guys, you know, around the world are really very simple, and they actually, some of them are gym freaks, they are health conscious, they watch their weight, they watch their things, you know. When you look at the person you saw who just moved from being overweight to being obese, and you actually seeing the parent like that, so in that regard, you may also even have a genetic component of the, you know, the size and figure, so that we cannot discount that some people could have a genetic predisposition to obesity, and therefore they would need to work extra hard to control that and discipline their diets, stay active, and try not to, you know, because once you have those genetic predisposition to certain degree of fatness and whatever, you may also have a genetic component to, you know, predispose you to certain diseases. Okay, I remember those days, one of my teachers used to say, when you want to marry a girl, even if they're looking nice and Coca-Cola, whatever, look at their parent first, because what you become when you whatever, you know. So, but when people have those genetic predispositions, they can do something about it. They can work hard and they can avoid being fat, but it takes a lot of effort and discipline. Okay. The argument could be in many directions. Sign of affluence, yes, but you can do something about it. But the fact that you are slim does not mean you're poor.
But the fact that you're slim also doesn't mean that you're healthy, though.
No, it doesn't mean so. Okay, so there's a lot of things that play, have an interplay, and that is why, you know, we normally call those things environmental factors, which may involve your diet, may involve your physical size, may involve even your circumstances,
and your lifestyle.
So lifestyle and stuff like that. Because I've seen people when they're stressed out, they get fat, and I've seen other people when they are stressed out, they lose weight. Slim. So there's a lot of physical factors involved. Okay, so being overweight does not necessarily mean that, okay, yes, you will get sick, but it puts you at risk, especially if you have a genetic factor within your family. And being slim does not necessarily mean you're healthy.
That's true.
All right? Because I have seen very slim, tiny people who are diabetic. And I've seen very overweight people that are called obese, and you taste their sugar, and they are normal. So it's a lot of, you know, interplay of factors, and that is why individuals have to be,
you gotta check yourself.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta go to a break, and when we come back, there's the next question I want to ask you about one of the things you said, but we will go to a break and we will be right back. Viewers, don't go anywhere. Remember, we are dealing today with parental oblivion to obesity. I know we're kind of going all over the place, but don't worry, we'll get right back on track. See you in a bit.
Hi, I am Petunia King Dillon. I'm your host of Family Matters, which is aired every Sunday evening from 7:30 p.m. for 1 hour. Be viewing Family Matters. It's a program that brings stability, healing, deliverance, and reconciliation through the Word of God. All the honor and the glory goes to God. So be viewing Family Matters. God bless you.
Holiness unto the Lord, every Saturday at 6:30 p.m.
Viewers, welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned to today's program of On Call. Our topic today is parental oblivion to obesity. And of course, in studio with me is none other than Dr. Maxwell. And Dr. Max, before we went to the break, I told you there was a question I had for you, one of the things you said earlier. Yeah. And that is, I know you mentioned in passing about children, eating a lot and getting bigger and bigger, and the parents seeing. And as you say, it's almost as if they're oblivious to the fact that the children are gaining weight. But Dr. Max, if your child comes to you and ever so often they're hungry, you feed them, they come back, they're hungry. You feed them, they come back an hour later, they're hungry. If you say, no, you've had enough, and you don't feed them, and then they start to cry and maybe even, I don't know, if they start to cry that they're really, really hungry and they really just need something. I mean, as a parent, wouldn't you be tempted to give them something because you figure maybe I am not, maybe I don't understand that this child really is hungry?
No, I won't succumb to them personally because there's some kids who will play on your intelligence and your emotions and stuff like that. You train them into knowing that, look, there is breakfast, there is lunch, and there's dinner.
And snacks.
That is the traditional way of eating. Okay, so there's a quantity of food that you will be given at breakfast, and then you will have snacks to follow. Okay, in between lunch, and breakfast and lunch. And then at lunch, you will have a quantity of food, which you call a bolus of food, right, for lunch. If you want, snacks in between lunch and dinner, fine, you could still get some. And then when dinner time comes, you're going to get your dinner. So you train them with regular, pattern of eating. Okay, not just, okay, I could eat anytime I want and whatever. When you train them in that manner, they have no regard for their food timetable. They have no regard for their balanced diet. They just eat anything they want, anytime they want, however they want it. And that is not a healthy eating habit. Okay, so if you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you want to go and eat, it's okay. You just go and eat. My kids used to do that, and sometimes someone will wake up in the middle of the night and wanted a supplement or some kind of thing. Okay, so got a dispenser. Okay, you want fluid, you want water? This is the dispenser. You can drink water whenever you want to, and once or twice it would try going into the fridge without anybody waking up, and I was like, hey, don't do that again. You understand? Once you have your dinner and you eat, the rest is tomorrow. Okay, you will get your lunch and your breakfast and your snack in your school bag and your lunch kit, and you go. And obviously he fell in line, So other children may indulge in that kind of thing. And I've seen parents who really, really indulge their parent any time the child cries. So it's like you're trying to babysit them with food. As soon as they cry, you give them something. They perceive that, as something normal, and then they start to have a very disorganized pattern of feeding.
And so basically what we're saying is that the parents in discipline in terms of creating a schedule for eating can also negatively impact the children, and they would, because basically you as the adult, you are training them as to what is appropriate and what is not. And therefore by allowing them to eat anytime, because you're just feeding them and just allowing them, you are in fact contributing to them.
And even their eating pattern, you need to educate your children about how to eat. 2 days ago, my son was just, he loves bread and cheese, and he likes maybe fries with, ketchup. So one day I was talking to him and I said, ketchup is not very, very healthy. Ketchup contains a lot of salt and, so. And we had a very good conversation. And curiously, someday I saw him reading the label of the ketchup, because he has a particular ketchup he likes, and so he read it. So next morning I said, okay, you want thing with the ketchup? No. I said, why? Ketchup not healthy, Ketchup not healthy, And that was how he
eased off of the ketchup.
Right, eased up from the ketchup, So it depends on how you train the kids. And I've met a young student from one of the high schools in Nigeria, in Tobago here, and her breakfast is chicken, lunch is chicken, and dinner obviously too, chicken. So I asked, why do you eat so much chicken? It's because the mother works in KFC, so she brings a lot of chicken home. So to her, chicken morning, chicken afternoon, chicken night is okay.
But Doc, that could, that could also maybe be, I just plain devil's advocate here, but maybe it's a way for the parent to conserve, financially, maybe.
Fine, that may have, financial implications, it may be, but it's not healthy.
Well,
so the child doesn't know what a regular fruit, take an apple, take a banana, you're asking them what is a fruit that they don't know. And this is a Form 2, Form 3 student, So it is the socialization. We have a dietary or nutritional socialization that we need to re-engineer, in our, young population in the primary schools and secondary schools.
But Doc, I think it goes even beyond parenting at this stage. I look at the amount of influence, teachers, especially the educators for the young children, I look at the amount of influence they have on children when they are in the preschool stage and early primary school stage. In my experience, apparently, whatever the teacher says is law.
Yeah.
It even counteracts whatever the parents say. So, I've had the experience where in preschool, one of my youngest say, my teacher says I must only eat fruits for snack. And I dare not pick up a packet, anything, because I'm told, Mommy, I cannot eat that. It is not healthy.
Right.
All right? And so, if it comes from both the parents and it's reinforced in the school, or even if it starts in school and reinforced at home, I guess maybe we will be able to see some change over time.
It's a multifaceted kind of approach that needs to be taken, which is part of our public health primary care kind of focus should be, and where we will start something with the help of teachers, parents, and the media especially, because the kids will watch a lot of TV. I've seen my little daughter telling me about things she read in Peppa Pig or some other kind of cartoon thing, and this one is eating this and that one is eating that, and they tell you what you should eat and what not to eat and stuff like that. So the media is important, and then the school teacher, like you said, had and they wield a lot of influence, and therefore that cultural and societal socialization that they get from the school is very important, and it must start from the home, the parent especially. You tell some parent, okay, you should not give your children chubby and Minute Maid and whatever, but that is what the children wants to buy. But they have to possibly want to buy it because they see somebody else buying it and they think it's okay to buy it.
I want to just quickly pull out something because our time is going quickly. You said earlier, so a normal eating schedule, timetable, pattern is to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and maybe a little snack in between breakfast and lunch, and same in between lunch and dinner.
Right.
And of course, it should all be portion controlled, appropriate, based on the child, the individual, you know, and their requirements at that particular age. But let's look at snacks, Dr. Max. When we talk about snacks,
Right.
we wanna be clear, because when you buy the corn curls and the cheese sticks, and I'm not knocking holiday snacks in any means, but how does that affect the development of the child in terms of their weight?
Yeah, what we also need to do in giving them snacks, we need to look for healthy snacks, and everything that is in between meals does not necessarily have to be snack. It could be fruits. Okay, so snacks in itself could also have its own problems, because most of them are processed food, processed carbohydrates, added sugar. A lot of hidden quantities of sugar are in those things, and because all those foods are processed and bleached, you know, starch, they are not necessarily healthy, and they do not necessarily have nutritional value. Okay, if you take some of those Pringles and potato chips and all those other things, all right, you know, they are fried in oils and all those things, and some of them are really unhealthy. And because of the way they are made and what are added to them, some of them are actually addictive. Okay, so the more you eat, the more you crave for them. Okay, and they're not necessarily healthy. So it's always good to watch those snacks, read the labels, see what contains, and see if it's a healthy one, and if it's unhealthy, then discourage your children from eating them.
You know, I'm hoping that, you know, as parents look at this, as even children look at the program, it would cause them to change, you know, how they think and how they approach food. But if it's a situation where the child has already reached the point of obesity,
right,
then what is your suggestion in terms of how should the parent deal with it, in terms of, you know, getting them to come back to what would be an acceptable and an appropriate body mass index? And Doc, we got to use this as our wrap up because our time is going really fast.
Right, that will call for a lot of intervention that involves maybe the nutritionist, the doctor, and the parent as well, so that there is a very collaborative effort in a humane and gentle, kind manner, not making them feel bad and feel, you know, on low self-esteem kind of, you know, way. So we try to encourage them to lose weight and let them see the benefit of losing the weight and the consequences of having the weight on for a very long time like that. So we try to work together as a team to make them lose the weight without stigmatizing, without bad talking, without down talking, and without making them feel bad that, okay, they're obese, and you just talk to them anyhow, and then they get despondent and discouraged.
And you also got to be mindful that they may be getting pressure from school as well.
From school as well, their peer pressure and the self-esteem issue, the psychological issue, all those things need to be managed, especially for young people and teenagers. It's not as straightforward as that. Some of them I just want to put on side because some people making fun of them.
So what ideally should parents do as a first step if you don't? So helping to...
They need to consult their doctor so that there's an assessment is done to say, okay, look, this child weighs so, and this is how much weight that this child should be at this point, and this is how much weight they need to lose. And when that is done, okay, how is it going to be done? Increased physical activity, nutritional control, and then the dietitian or the nutritionist comes in, and there's a team effort to get that done.
Okay, so first step is to get your doctor involved, so that it could be remedied before it develops into something.
A serious problem.
All right, that one of the things that we discussed earlier, diabetes, cancer, and
hypertension and the rest.
All right, Dr. Max, thank you so very much. It seems our time is out. We are done for today.
That was quick.
Yes, it felt that way. We are done for today. So thank you very much for your time. Viewers, thank you for staying tuned. Doc, is there anything you want to add quickly before we go? You have like 30 seconds.
Well, like I said, obesity is not a crime, but it's a health issue that needs to be dealt with. Okay, let's encourage people who we think are in that category to encourage them to lose weight in a humane and friendly, manner. And parents who possibly have children who are obese, there's no point denying it, and there's no point trying to justify it. The consequences are there for in future, and therefore those children should be encouraged in a very, easy manner to at least, deal with it, when they stay active and they can then get it done.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maxwell. Viewers, thank you for staying tuned to today's program of On Thought. See you next week, same time, same place. Have a blessed evening.